Hey everyone, I'm just going to do a quick run through of how to fetch a repository from GitHub and modify that repository and then push the changes back to GitHub so everyone can see it. You'll need to do this for the check-in for programming languages, so make sure you follow along. Alright, first thing I want to do is I have Eclipse open already, and I'm going to suppose that you have already installed the Scala extension for Eclipse and also set up the EGit extension or plugin, I should say, for Eclipse. If you haven't done that, please do that before because you'll see you'll be missing functionality. You won't be able to complete this walkthrough. All right, well, let's get started. First thing I want to do is I want to create a new project, and new Scala project. So I'm going to go to New Scala Project. Doesn't matter the name. I'm just going to call it Check-in. And I can just finish. I don't need to change any other options. All right, so I have here, you see that if I open this up, I don't have any. It's a blank project, as you would expect. And I want to grab an existing project. So I have a Check-in project on GitHub that I want to check in. But before I want to do that, I actually need to tell Eclipse that this check-in project is going to use Git. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click here on my project, and I'm going to go to Team, and then Share Project. And I'll come up and I'll ask you whether you want to use CVS or Git. If you're missing Git here, then that means you forgot to install the EGit plugin for Eclipse, so make sure you go and do that right away. But we'll select Git. Here I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button that says use or create repository in the parent folder of our project. And then I'll just click on this and then create repository. So you'll see that change to a check mark up there. And then I can click finish. So now if you look over here in our check-in, it says no head, which means we haven't made any code changes. There's really nothing to track at this point. So that's our first step. The next step is now we're going to set up our remote repository. So it's going to point it to where our GitHub repository is. And for you to do that, I need you to go down to this window down here that says Git repositories. You may not see this window if you are just using this for the first time. If you don't, go to the window menu up here, go to Show View, and then Other, and then you can see, well, here I already have it open, but you'll see a folder for Git, and then if you click on Repositories, click OK, and then that'll bring this tab up down there. Okay, well, we'll see I'm going to expand this here, and I see that this remote is what I want to deal with, remote repository, so I'm going to right-click on this and say Create Remote. Leave this as origin, that's fine. We're going to set up that, click OK. Now for URI, what I want to do is I want to change that. And what I'm going to do is before I do that, I'm going to go to the GitHub page for our check-in. You can see this is where it was. And if you look down here, there's a little SSH clone URL. And if you just copy that, you can click the little button here and copy to clipboard. I copied that URL I'm going to need. And it's important we do that before we click change, because when I click change, it'll automatically fill in the details based on the clipboard. If you don't, it might not automatically do that for you. But we'll click change, and you see we filled in already the details since I had it in my clipboard. So only thing I need to change here is to set up SSH. Okay, nothing else. I'm going to click finish. Then I'm just going to click save, not save and push. I don't have anything to push, no changes to make quite yet. Okay, so the remotes, you'll see if I expand this, I have origin working fine. Okay, next step, I'm going to click on the origin. I'm going to configure fetch, because we're going to grab our changes from this check-in, from our remote repository. And to do that, I want to add a source, a fetch source. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start typing in master. And when I start typing in, it'll start looking remotely for the branches that are available. Master should pop up, okay, for using my existing check-in one. So I'll double click on that. That'll fill in the information I need. I'll click through to next. Nothing else needs to change at this point, so I'll finish it up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do save and fetch this time. So save and fetch. And I'll go through, and everything looks okay, you should get to this point, fetched some information, click OK, and that's good, okay. Okay, so we fetched the information, but there's two steps. First you have to fetch, and then you merge it in so that you can see the changes in your project. So what I'm going to do that is we'll go back up here to this check-in project. I'm going to right-click it, and then I'm going to go back to team. This team menu is going to be where you're going to do all your Git fetching and pushing and committing and all kinds of stuff. So we'll go ahead and we're going to do this option that says merge. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is just click on the remote tracking. I'm going to merge in that branch. So I selected the branch I'm going to merge in. And well, now you see that if I look over here, now I actually have some source things. So I have a default package, and now I have a source file, which is the one I added to the project initially. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'll just double click that so I can open it. And part of your assignment will be just to edit this file and commit the changes so that everyone can see that you checked in. Basically just a check-in file. So I'm just going to add a print line here to say that Dr. Sat was here. That's all you need to do. I mean, you can put whatever fun message you want. Just put your name and something about hello or was here. And that should be good. So I'm going to save this file. And then I'm going to run it just to make sure I didn't mess anything up. You can see down here in our console, Count 360 check-in, Dr. Sat was here. Okay, so that looks good. Well, I've made the changes locally, but I haven't done anything remotely yet. So what I want to do now is I'm going to first click in on my check-in, right-click, go to team again, and now I'm going to commit my changes. So anytime I make a change to my source code, I want to commit it so that I have a track or a change set associated with those changes. Okay, and say added my sats check-in message. Again, modify this for whatever you want for your commit. Click commit. Okay. So now we have a commit, but again, this is all local. So I want to push this out to the world at large, specifically the GitHub project that I had set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go push, remote, and push. Okay, so when you first do this, okay, it'll ask you, it'll say, well, I want to use this configured remote repository, which is what we did with the a little bit earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and click next. And what I want to do here is I want to add a ref. So the source ref is going to be, just going to type in master. Actually, I do that, and then the destination ref should automatically fill in. I shouldn't have to change that. So if you do your drag down, you should see your master branch. That should set everything up. I'm going to add the spec, and then I can finish. So you should see some stuff here. If everything worked well, you should get a message similar to this. I'm saying, okay, well, there's my commit message. I added my check-in message, and that is an indication that things worked. Okay, well, let's see if the GitHub actually saw what we did here. So again, we'll see if it updated remotely. I'm here clicking on my source. Okay, well, you can see I got a nice indication here that I added stats check-in message, so that's a good sign so far. Let's click on this file to see what it looks like. Yeah, and you can see we have the print line message here that I added. So that's good. That's how you would go ahead and add your check-in message.